So, in earlier weeks this month, we have talked about capital L love, as in that song, the force which connects all things. We've talked about the love at the foundation of the civil rights movement, thanks to Charlotte Goff. And we've talked about the love of the Christian God for the world, which led early Unitarians, Universalists, and other Christian denominations to help the poor, the immigrant, and the orphan child. This final Sunday in January, I'd like to talk about lowercase l love, the love between loved ones, which, after all, is part of the capital L love. A loving universe which cares for us first and foremost through each other. Our worship associate, Al Hawkland, shared this wonderful quote on the topic from the book, All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. When you go out into the world, watch for traffic, hold hands, and stick together. I really like that quote because it doesn't specify who to hold hands with, who to stick together with. So we're going to talk about several channels of love in our interpersonal relationships. Romantic love, friends, family, even maybe especially pets. Actually, let's start with pets. The special thing about loving friendship between humans and animals is that little miracle of love transcending humanity. I am continually in awe that my two cats are these little critters who live in my house and that we just adore each other. My younger cat, who I raised from a kitten, if I'm upstairs, she's upstairs. If I'm downstairs, she's downstairs. My older cat is smart enough to talk using buttons with recorded words on them. He has a button that says, "Love you," and he uses it regularly, which makes my heart sing. What an honor to give these little critters safe and comfortable lives. What an honor to love and be loved by these creatures who are so different from and yet also quite similar to us. I hope that you have some furry loved ones in your lives. The psychologist Carl Rogers talks about a practice of unconditional positive regard in similar ways. One of the most satisfying experiences I know, he writes, is just fully to appreciate an individual in the same way I appreciate a sunset. People are just as wonderful as sunsets if you let them be. When I look at a sunset, I don't find myself saying, soften the orange a bit on the right-hand corner. I don't try to control a sunset. I watch with awe as it unfolds. End quote. Unconditional positive regard sounds very much like love. I think that's also a kind of love I've experienced between myself and my dearest friends. We just always cheer each other on, appreciate each other's quirks, push back when we disagree, of course, but never without a clear expression of continuing trust and affection. What a gift, good friendships. I was in a sorority in college. Shocking, I know. And one of the lines of our purpose, which we memorized in its entirety, was to cherish friendships with but a chosen few and to study the perfecting of those friendships. I like the idea of studying the perfection of friendship, working on them diligently and on purpose, instead of taking them for granted. Because I don't know about you, but I need friendship like I need air. I have gone long periods of my life without romantic love quite comfortably, but the blessedly few moments when I thought I was without friendship were the very worst. Of course, our romantic loves are different, deeper in some ways, more intense, but they too need concerted attention, devoted attention. In the movie adaptation of the novel Lady Chatterley's Lover, the titular lover himself says, "There's a little flame between us. It's always burning. And I've come to believe that tending a fire like that is purpose enough for any life." End quote. A little flame between us reminds me of our Unitarian Universalist chalice. of the eternal flame in Judaism, holy in the same way, romantic love, which is often the most physical love, appreciating each other's entire being for as much time as we are granted. Romantic love, like a flame, is perhaps the most intense, but also perhaps the most fragile love. Precious, beautiful, rare, comforting, and also a little bit dangerous. Perhaps because of that dangerousness, I haven't been interested in romantic relationships in some time. I'm certainly not the first clergy person to do so. Instead, I've lived with my younger brother, Zach, for almost 9 years now. He's come to Foof once or twice, and some of you may have met him. He looks like me, but 10 feet tall. He's a bit shy around new people, but he's also incredibly funny and artistically talented. He's a fantastic friend to his circle. He's my older cat's favorite person in the world. Occasionally, people have asked me if I'm my brother's caretaker, like there has to be a disability involved for siblings to live together for so long. While I deeply respect siblings who are each other's caretakers, it isn't inherent. We're just best friends. We're roommates who can be direct with each other instead of leaving each other notes. We have gradually fewer screen fights over time, and we eat dinner together and ask each other about our day. When I decided to become a minister and moved for divinity school, again for my ministerial internship, and again to come here, he's decided each time to come along with me. We may not be roommates forever, but for now, having that lifelong trust and daily camaraderie is something I'm very grateful for. Pets, friends, lovers, family, all such beautiful connections. I hope you've been thinking of your dear ones throughout this service. I hope you reach out to them sometime afterwards. The friendships here among Foof members is also a spectacular joy to witness. But perhaps even more foundational than any of these important relationships is love for oneself. The cliche goes that if you do not love yourself, you cannot love others. A poem by Stacy Patel reads, "My body tells me often to go swim in the ocean. I'd prefer a lake, but the Atlantic is 3 blocks away. I don't go because I haven't shaved in ages and these thighs are thick. And I wonder how often I ignore the whispers of God because sometime long ago I decided that my shame was more sacred." End quote. Because the higher spiritual truth is that self and others are not completely separate. We are distinct, but we are not separate. Loving yourself means you love the piece of the universe that you are, exactly as you are. A combination that has never been seen before in all existence. How can you love another without also acknowledging the holiness inside yourself, the inherent worthiness? How can you receive the reciprocal love from someone, which completes the equation, unless you believe yourself good enough to be loved, regardless of your imperfections? The Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams says, "I want you to know that you are loved beyond your wildest imaginings by the spirit of creation. Every bit of you is holy, even the embarrassing parts, even the thoughts you wouldn't tell your best friend. God is in your every cell, calling you to live a loving, joyful, boisterous life, to go easier on yourself, to accept that you are a blessing, to spread the word that there is no original sin, that we are all glorious gifts to a world that desperately needs us." End quote. In this way, these lowercase l loves are intrinsic parts of the capital L love, as a facet is part of a diamond. When we are tender, forgiving, accepting, and appreciative of the unique person that each of us is, it is our very own piece of the universe that we are loving, that we have been entrusted with. when we love each other in all the ways we are lucky enough to do so. It is the miraculously alive face of God, the lover and beloved, the best of friends, the family members in all their tension and trust, the fur babies whose lives are so much shorter than ours and so precious. There's a little flame between us. It's always burning. And I've come to believe that tending a fire like that is purpose enough for any life. May it be so.